let's look at a merging conflict. We'll go back to our Jocelyn student, and Jocelyn student decided that that program wasn't supposed to be favorite hobby. It was supposed to be something else. It was supposed to be a favorite song. And so they go in and commit those changes. Now, on the server, we have favorite song project, but meanwhile, Professor Richards is looking at these log entries and says, this is not very well encapsulated. The log has to know everything about the details of the entry. So it'd be much better if the entry knew about the details of the entry and the test log just accepted entries and put timestamps on them. So let's look at what Professor Richard did to change the code. A new file called grader entry has been added that talks about the details of the information collected when you want to log the grader's entry of information. And a generic entry has been created that can be extended to include many different types of entries. And the log now only accepts entries for adding an entry, and therefore doesn't need to know any details about an entry, just that it can set the timestamp on that entry and clone it and save it in the log. In order to support that, the test had to be updated to create a new grader entry, construct that new object grader entry before it could be added to the log. And we can check and make sure this all works. And we still have the log working, and so we're ready to commit those changes. You can see that the log test, the log, and the entry were all changed. It did automatically pick up that new file, grader entry, and we're going to take those all down and we can commit all those files together. And we're going to say we're fixing the encapsulation of entry. And I probably should put more details in here. And so I can go ahead and commit. And I do want to commit before I merge because I want to make sure that my changes are saved in case somebody else has made some changes that might interfere with my changes. So now those changes are saved to my local repository. And even though I don't know if someone else has changed it, it's actually a good idea to check and do a pull so that you know that you have the latest and you can merge it. So I'm going to go into Team and Pull, and I'm going to see if there's anything out there that needs to be merged. In this case, there was a merge and it's resulting in a conflict. So I'm going to have to fix that conflict myself. You can see because Jocelyn student was changing in the same area that Professor Richard was changing, that the merge wasn't sure which change should win. And so we actually have to look at this manually. And we know we have to keep the grader entry constructions. And so we have to kind of look through this and make sure we're not losing any of the changes. And hopefully we'll find that, oh, it's just the song here. Or if you weren't sure, you could just take this whole set of data and replace it. And after you feel like you've found all the changes that you want to keep, then you can get rid of the code that is not correct. All that code has been replaced with a call to add entry that passes in a call to the constructor to create new greater entry objects. Then we also have to remove this marker that's telling us that's where we have to look at the file to correct those changes. Now that we have all the merges fixed, we want to test it. Luckily our tests will run, so we can go ahead and commit that change. Because it's a merge, Eclipse is going to automatically tell you about that merge, and then you can go ahead and commit and see if you can push it. And we have a successful push, and we were able to merge those changes, but it required some manual intervention.